The guard of the tomb halted mid-stride, breaking tradition with a single step away from his sacred post, rifle firm as he moved toward the commotion. The visitors at Arlington fell silent, whispers racing through the crowd like sparks. Had the unshakable sentinel finally faltered? Yet what the stunned spectators, and even the furious man in his way, didn't see was that this disciplined soldier bore a wound from the battlefield that reflected the young girl's grief. And he was about to show that certain obligations reach deeper than duty itself. Before we unfold this story, where are you watching from? Share it in the comments. And if you believe honor, bravery, and sacrifice still matter, stand with us in preserving their memory. The afternoon was warm, sunlight resting high above Arlington National Cemetery, casting a golden hue over endless rows of white markers, standing like silent guardians. Memorial Day had brought people from across the nation, all there to honor the fallen resting here. The air carried a mix of reverence and quiet voices, families recalling stories, veterans upright with their medals shining, tourists snapping pictures of the eternal flame. But on this day, the crowd was larger than usual, swelling into the thousands, all waiting to witness the changing of the guard at the tomb of the unknown soldier. With the massive turnout, cemetery staff had positioned additional sentinels. These elite soldiers from the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment were placed to preserve order and safeguard the sanctity of the grounds. One of these posts was guarded by Sergeant Ethan Hayes, a 28-year-old hailing from a small town in Ohio. His polished blue uniform gleamed in the sunlight, white-gloved hands firmly holding his rifle with exact precision. Ethan had served as a tomb guard for 2 years, earning the prestigious badge after enduring months of relentless training. The sequence was ingrained in him: 21 paces forward, heel striking sharply, a pause of 21 seconds, and then the motion resumed. No words, no breaks, only unwavering watch over the nameless warriors who had given all for their nation. It was a duty that demanded flawlessness, a living symbol of sacrifice. Ethan was a fair-skinned man with a square jaw and eyes aged by experience. He had lost his younger brother in Iraq years earlier, a wound that drove his devotion. Posted near a pathway leading toward the tomb, he could faintly hear the cadence of the central ceremony, though his attention never drifted from his station. Among the throng of visitors, a young girl named Emma Thompson maneuvered through in her wheelchair, her mother Mary guiding her across the gravel walkways. Emma, just 10 years old, had sparkling blue eyes and a ponytail that bounced with every move. She had been born with a rare muscular disorder that confined her to the wheelchair, though her spirit never dimmed. Her father had been a Marine, killed in Afghanistan when she was only a toddler. He had once told her stories about Arlington, about the tomb guards who stood watch like superheroes, guarding the memory of warriors like him. "They're the bravest, Em," he would say. "Someday I'll take you there." But fate never gave him the chance. So on this Memorial Day, Mary made the drive from their Virginia home, determined to keep that promise alive. Emma held a small American flag on her lap, her fingers fidgeting with anticipation. "Mom, do you think we'll get close enough? I want to see one up close, like Dad told me." Mary gave her a gentle smile, though her eyes showed the strain of a long morning. At 35, she balanced part-time shifts at a local diner with caring for Emma. Yet moments like this made every effort worth it. "We'll do our best, sweetheart. Look, I think there's space ahead." Slowly they pushed forward, weaving through the mass of visitors. At first, people were courteous, stepping aside for the wheelchair. But as they approached the outer viewing area, the crowd thickened. Bodies leaned forward, phones lifted high, blocking Emma's view. She stretched to peek between shoulders and backs, catching only fragments of the distant tomb. That's when Jack Heron came into the frame. Jack was a 45-year-old businessman from New York, the type always glued to his phone, closing deals and barking commands. He ran a small tech startup that built apps for remote workers. He had come here on a whim, fitting the visit between business calls. Wearing a wrinkled polo shirt and khakis, he pushed through the crowd as if it were a subway station, his Bluetooth earpiece flashing while he spoke loudly into it. "Yeah, Bob, tell them the deadline isn't up for debate. I don't care about excuses. Time is money." He didn't notice Emma at first, stepping directly in front of her wheelchair to get a better view of the walkway. Mary cleared her throat gently. "Excuse me, sir. Could you please move just a little? My daughter can't see." Jack glanced down, irritation etched on his face. He muted his call briefly. "Look, lady, I'm in the middle of something serious. Just will her somewhere else or something." He waved dismissively and turned back, his voice climbing again. "No, Bob, push harder on the contract." Emma's expression dimmed, her hands clutching the small flag tighter. She whispered to her mother, "It's okay. I can hear the steps, I think." But inside, her heart sank. This moment was supposed to matter, a bond to her father's memory. The crowd muttered around them, some casting Jack sharp looks, but none stepped in. Mary tried once more, her tone steadier. "Sir, please. She's waited for this all year. It's Memorial Day. Show a little respect." Jack rolled his eyes, unmuting again. "Hold on, Bob." He turned toward Mary with a smug grin. "Respect? I'm showing respect just by being here, aren't I? But I've got a company to run. The kid can watch it on YouTube later." He shifted his stance, his broad shoulders completely blocking Emma's view now, forming a wall. Unease rippled through those nearby. A veteran in a ball cap muttered under his breath, "What a jerk." Jack paid no attention, diving back into his call. "Yeah, escalate it to the CEO if needed." Emma felt her eyes sting with tears. She glanced toward Ethan's post just a few yards away. He stood unmoving, steady, just like in her father's stories. "Mom, why is he being so mean?" she whispered. Mary squeezed her shoulder gently. "Some people are trapped in their own world, sweetheart. Don't let it take away from today." But as Jack's voice boomed louder, ranting about delays in his deal, the crowd's patience began to fray. Someone finally shouted, "Hey, buddy, move it. There's a kid here." Jack spun around, his face tightening. "Mind your own business. I'm not bothering anyone." In his irritation, his hand flung outward, and his foot struck the wheel of Emma's chair. It wasn't a heavy kick, but enough to jolt her, making the chair rattle. Emma gasped, gripping the armrest, while Mary instinctively pulled her close. "That's enough, you're frightening her." The air went still. At his post, Ethan had remained locked in his ritual, eyes ahead, but something inside shifted. Out of the corner of his vision, he caught the movement, the little girl recoiling, the man's hostile posture. His training shouted to ignore distractions, to hold the line. But old memories broke through, his brother laughing with kids back home before deployment. The unknown soldiers he guarded had families, too. For the first time on his shift, Ethan's eyes shifted briefly, catching the scene. The crowd grew tense, waiting. Would the sentinel break formation? Tradition demanded he wouldn't. But as Jack sneered, "She's fine. Don't be so dramatic," the words hung heavy in the humid Virginia air. Jack Heron, blind to the stares burning into him, paced in a small circle while shouting into his earpiece. "Bob, if we lose this client, heads are going to roll. Just make it happen." His movements grew restless, brushing against people around him, yet he gravitated back toward Emma's spot like it was his personal stage. Emma brushed away tears, trying to stay strong. "Mom, maybe we should just go." But Mary held firm. "No, sweetheart. This is for your dad. We're staying." A teenager nearby lifted his phone, recording quietly. "This guy's unbelievable," he whispered to his buddy. Others nodded, forming a loose arc around Mary and Emma. An older woman, perhaps a veteran's widow, spoke up. Sir, there's more than enough room elsewhere. Let the child see. Jack dismissed her with a wave. I've got just as much right to be here as anyone. Busy day, folks. Deal with it. Ethan's thoughts raced beneath his rigid stance. The creed of the tomb guard was strict: no distractions, no breaks, embodying the nation's respect. Yet watching the child's trembling hands stirred something inside. His brother had given his life shielding civilians overseas. Wasn't this, in its way, the same kind of protection? He marched his 21 steps, paused, but his side vision never left the growing scene. Jack, stung by the crowd's glares, only grew louder. He stepped nearer to Emma, towering over her chair. Listen, kid, life isn't fair. I worked hard to get here. I can't stop for every sad story. He gave a mock salute toward Ethan's direction, sneering. See that guy? He's just standing there doing nothing. Same as you right now. The crowd gasped. Emma's chin trembled. He's not doing nothing. He's honoring my dad. Mary's voice broke. Please, just leave us alone. Jack, still wound up by his call, kicked at the gravel near the wheelchair, stones scattering. Move the chair if it's in the way. That was it. Murmurs turned into shouts. Back off. Somebody get security. Ethan felt the pull, his discipline holding him back, but his heart pushing forward. But his heart prevailed. In one smooth motion, he shifted slightly from his line, not a full break, but enough to square himself toward the commotion. The crowd caught it instantly. Did he just move? Someone whispered. Ethan's gaze, sharp and unbending, fixed on Jack. Then, in defiance of the strict code he had sworn to uphold, he advanced, rifle at his side, each stride deliberate and controlled. Gasps spread through the onlookers. Phones shot up, flashes burst. Ethan placed himself firmly between Jack and Emma, his tall frame casting a shield over the child. Jack froze mid-sentence, his earpiece still buzzing faintly with Bob's voice. What the? He stammered, suddenly looking small. Hey, you're not even supposed to move, right? Is this some kind of performance? Ethan's voice, steady and commanding like a drill instructor's, cut through the tension for the first time. Sir, step back. It was not a suggestion. Silence blanketed the crowd. Everyone registering the rarity of a sentinel speaking. Jack blinked rapidly, scrambling for words. I'm on an important call here. You can't just, but Ethan ignored him. Instead, he lowered himself slowly, his uniform folding neatly as he knelt, rifle balanced across his knees, free hand hovering near Emma's chair. Are you all right, young lady? His tone softened, touched with Midwestern warmth beneath the military edge. Emma nodded, wide-eyed, her tears forgotten in sheer wonder. Yes, I just wanted to see you like my dad said. Ethan gave a small nod. Your dad was a hero, wasn't he? Marine? She brightened. How did you know? He glanced at the small flag in her lap. Lucky guess. What's your name? Emma. She extended her tiny hand, and Ethan, glove and all, gave it a gentle shake. Well, Emma, the unknowns we guard, they're just like your father. Brave souls who gave everything. It's my honor to stand for them. Mary pressed her hand to her lips, tears streaming freely. Thank you, she whispered. Jack, now completely deflated, muttered, This is ridiculous, I was just, but his words were swallowed by approving murmurs from the crowd. The teenager's camera kept rolling, capturing what was already a viral moment. From the side, Sergeant Major Lee approached, his expression stern. A seasoned black soldier with decades of service, he oversaw the sentinels. Hayes, he said evenly. Explain. Ethan rose sharply to attention. Sir, this civilian was harassing the child and her mother. I acted to de-escalate. Lee glanced from Jack to Emma, his face unreadable. Softening. He understood the regulations as well as anyone, but he also understood the purpose behind them. Protocol is protocol, Sergeant, but sometimes the mission is greater. He nodded toward Emma. Help her get a proper view. I'll handle the report. A wave of relief passed over Ethan. He carefully took hold of Emma's wheelchair from Mary. If it's all right, ma'am, let's get you closer. Mary, overcome with emotion, nodded. As they advanced, the crowd respectfully parted, soft applause rising around them. Jack shrank back, his phone forgotten as a cemetery official stepped up. Sir, you'll need to come with me, the staffer said firmly. Jack muttered under his breath but followed, his arrogance broken. The ceremony at the central tomb pressed on, the measured cadence of steps echoing like a living heartbeat. Ethan guided Emma to a perfect spot along the outer walkway, where she could clearly watch the guards march in flawless rhythm. There, he said, best seat in the house. Emma looked up at him, beaming. You're a real hero, Sergeant Hayes. He allowed himself a faint smile, the first break in his solemn mask. Just doing my duty, Emma. But thank you. As the applause faded and calm returned, Ethan stepped back into his position, resuming his steady ritual. Yet something within him had shifted. The vigil felt renewed, more intimate. His thoughts drifted to his brother. Would he approve? Yes, he would. The remainder of the ceremony unfolded without flaw, the guards changing with precise dignity to honor the fallen. Emma absorbed every moment, her eyes alight with wonder. When it ended, Mary hugged her tightly. Dad would be so proud. They thanked Ethan once more as he gave a crisp salute. Safe travels, he said. Jack was quietly escorted away, phone silent, muttering a half-hearted apology to no one in particular, his big deal suddenly trivial. The teenager's video hit social media almost instantly. Tomb guard breaks protocol to protect little girl. Heartwarming Memorial Day moment. Views skyrocketed, comments flooding in. This is the spirit of America. True heroes on and off duty. That night, Emma replayed the memory, holding up the small flag to her father's photo. I saw a guardian today, Dad, just like you. Mary watched with gratitude, thankful that compassion had turned a painful day into something extraordinary. By the next morning, Arlington's administration released a statement. While we uphold the sacred traditions of the Tomb Guard, we also affirm that compassion, in rare moments, reflects those very values. Our core values of honor and service. Ethan received no punishment. Instead, he was met with quiet nods from fellow guards. It was a reminder that rules exist to serve people, not the other way around. In a world filled with constant noise and hurry, like Jack's endless phone calls, a single choice to step out of line for the right reason could resonate forever. Emma left Arlington with her belief in heroes shining brighter. And Ethan resumed his vigil, knowing that day he had guarded more than a tomb, he had safeguarded hope. And if you're listening to this story, take a moment to reflect. In your own life, when was the last time you bent a small rule for a greater kindness? Share it with someone. It might just inspire others, maybe even go viral. Thank you for joining us. If you found this story meaningful, consider sending a super chat to help us bring more stories like it. Now, click on the video showing on screen to hear another powerful account. One filled with courage, sacrifice, and a choice that may challenge everything you thought you knew about duty and justice. Click the video.